This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so I'm Caroline Roberts. I'm the chair of the Leader Development Community of Interest. There's a lot of our members on the line today. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to jump in the conversation. Unmute yourself or type it in the chat if you're more comfortable doing it that way. But speak up, and Melissa's already given shout outs to LDP class of 2020. Oh, that's fantastic. All right, guys. So this is our second call for this community of interest, and the focus today is going to be around our flagship kind of initiative, the Leader Development Program. So as a community of interest, this is one kind of pillar in our our organization, coupled with mentoring and some post leader development activities. But this call is going to focus on the National Leader Development Program, the ins and the outs, answer any questions that you have, give you some history on how we got here. And it is timely because applications are open for next year's class. So we're hoping to get a lot of applicants and keep spreading the good stuff. So with that, Eddie, next slide, please. Go over kind of an overview of what we're going to do today. As I said, we're focused on the Leader Development Program, the history of it, the objectives, the outcomes. My favorite part, we'll hear from a few people who have been through the program to give you their perspective and their point of view, and some testimonials. Frequently asked questions along with any new questions, and how to apply, and when things are due. They're due, applications are due December 7th. So we'll go over all of that and how you get them turned in. Okay, next slide, please. So from the community of interest perspective, again, I'm Caroline Roberts. I am the chair, and Roland, we have Roland on the line. Vice Chair, Roland, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Roland de Guzman. As you can see on the slide, I'm the vice chair, so I help out Caroline and the rest of the team figure out what we're doing and make sure everybody's rowing in the same direction.
He does a lot more than that, but thank you, Roland. So for the community of interest, or the LDP, if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to myself, Roland, or any of our members here that are on the line today. Okay, next slide, Eddie. So how do you keep up with all the cool things that are going on with the Leader Development Community of Interest? If you go to the SAME.org webpage, up in the top right, there's a little button you can click for member login. So it's where you go to log into your profile. And when you get there, you can click on Join a Community of Interest, and all of the SAME communities of interest are listed there. So things like we have a resilience committee, community of interest, we have an environmental community of interest, and then this is SAME's newest community of interest, the Leader Development Community of Interest. So you would just click on Leader Development and join now. And what that does is it kind of puts you on our insider email list, right? So you will be made aware of our monthly webinars or any events revolving around leader development that you might be interested in, and you'll know they're happening and how you can join. Okay, next slide. Okay, the history of the Leader Development Program. First of all, I want to say that Mike Adaro, some of you know him. He's a fellow. He's been in the society around for a while. He's also with USACE Norfolk District. He would normally be doing this right now because this is his baby. However, he had a work commitment. So I just wanted to mention his name so that you guys were aware. He's leading the LDP portion of this. So the Leader Development Program falls under the Leader Development Community of Interest. It has an SAME Foundation focus. We talked, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the foundation or not. It was, I think it was stood up around 2017 with the purpose to foster engineering leaders for our nation. So it's a philanthropic organization that uses those funds to promote engineering leadership for our nation. And the Leader Development Program is just one way in which it does that. So there is an SAME Foundation focus. Also, with our 2025 strategic plan, if you guys haven't looked at that yet, I encourage you to do so. But goal number 3 is to develop leaders for the AEC profession. So, if we're going to tackle the nation's grandest challenges, we also need to have strong, resilient leaders to help us get through those challenges. Let's see. The LDP program actually started as well. I should back up. It was dreamed. It was a vision out of a program that SAME used to participate in that was called the Emerging Leaders Alliance. I don't know if any of you have heard of ELA, Emerging Leaders Alliance. So SAME would get a group of usually young professionals to go and participate in this program. And it wasn't just SAME, it was a few organizations that came together. And it was basically like a long weekend leadership boot camp. A few of us did it. I was in the last class of ELA that SAME did. I know Zach Payne, I think, was in that class, as well as Colonel Matt Altman, if you guys know him, and Lisa Thaley. So it was a great program. From my perspective, I learned a lot from it. However, like I said, it was like a long weekend and then it was over. And it wasn't just SAME focused, which was, a plus and a minus. And from my perspective, I enjoyed getting to meet new people, but when it was all said and done, the people that I stayed in contact with were those folks that I just mentioned, my SAME buddies. So from there, I know I left that kind of questioning why doesn't the society have their own program? I mean, let's face it, we have the resources and our members to leverage across all kinds of disciplines, from active duty, retired military, the AEC community, large business perspective, small business, and everything in between. And so from there, we developed the leadership task force. And I don't know if you guys know any of those people that were involved in that, but it was myself, Jim Donahue, who I think is out of the Northern Virginia Post, Mary Anderson, she's a fellow, Marty Boyven, Buddy Barnes, Annie Wee, and Marilyn Zinko. And Colonel Matt Altman was also involved in that one. So that was the task force that started the dreaming that launched into our current program that we offer right now. And from there, 2019 to 2020 was our inaugural class. So it is a year-long program. We kicked it off 2019 and just graduated our first class just a few months ago. And right now we're in the middle of our second class, which is underway. Let's see, I'm just looking at the chat to see if there's any questions about that. Eddie points out that we currently have a founding donor campaign to recognize inaugural donors to the foundation over the last 4 years. The campaign ends December 31st, and you can go to the website to know more about that work. So the founding donor campaign is focused on the SAME Foundation. I encourage you to go there and, you know, if it's something that you're drawn to do to make a contribution. It goes to not only these LDP efforts, but also some of our STEM camp initiatives. And like I said, their purpose is to foster engineering leadership for our nation. So I made a donation, so I encourage you to go check it out. Okay, next slide. LDP objectives. I think Colonel Hodgeboom, are you on, Patrick?
Yeah, I'm here, Caroline. I can cover it from here.
Okay, cool.
So there's 4 slides. You'll have to bear with me. Go ahead.
Patrick, if you wouldn't mind, go on and introduce yourself so that everybody knows. Okay, thanks.
I feel out of place. You know, I see Lieutenant Colonel Bryant there in uniform, and I'm sitting here in a T-shirt. It has an American flag on it, so there's my patrioticness of it. But I mean, besides that, you're not looking to see what I'm wearing or what I have behind me. I had to try to one up Eddie with his SAME thing. I put an SAME plaque back there. I got rid of my PE, which I'm very proud of, but I put the SAME Fellows thing up there. So I'm Colonel Patrick Hogbom. I've been a member of SAME for a very long time because back at Fort Bragg they made you become a member. But that was my first professional society, and I've never regretted it. I'm still in the Army, and so unfortunately I'm running well past when I thought I would be here. You know, Ed Gibson has told me years ago and was a captain, hey, you get out, let me know. But I don't think he even finds people jobs anymore. I've waited so long. So I may just have to stay in until the Army tells me I have to go. But right now I'm not working for the Army. I'm working for the Office of Economic Adjustment. It's located in Arlington, Virginia. I'm located in Northern Virginia, but I'm a very active member with the Atlanta Post, which is where my last assignment was with the Corps of Engineers as their deputy division commander. So, but today I want to talk about the LDP. Mike Darrow reached out to me shortly after I became a fellow and said, hey, what are you going to do to get back to society? So I'm going to talk, but I can tell you there's a lot going on from the other folks that you see pictured on the screen. I just happen to participate in these weekly calls and get a lot out of it, and it's really like a family. In fact, I challenge you, go look at my LinkedIn page. You'll see I talk about service, family, and leader development. I know other people are talking about looking for a job or how they're entrepreneur or how they're really good at executive level leadership or strategic planning. I just put those 3 simple things on there, and I think that's probably going to stick for a while because I really feel like this is one of the families I have. But so that's what I'm excited to talk about this. So when we talk about LDP objectives, you see a picture there of the actual application, and you'll see the items that are kind of pictured in there. But what I really want to get after is the program not only looks outward as far as what you can do to like maybe become a leader, like looking at really great leaders that are out there, but it's also inward. And you're going to hear from folks after me who are going to talk a lot about better, but it's that inward look. How are you, it's kind of like mid-career, how are you feeling about yourself, what your personality is, how do you get after it? So it's introspective, and that helps you look at your strengths and develop your weaknesses and then find opportunities. So this program, of course, gives back to the society. As already mentioned, there's 5 strategic goals in this 2025 strategic plan. Clearly, this gets after goal number 3, but I'll tell you, it gets after all 5, and that's the beauty of this program. And I'll talk a little bit about that as we move on. I don't think there's really anything else other than you can see on the slide what we're getting after. So let's go to the next slide on the LDP outcomes. So although the plan was for 35 hours of formal training, we learned that this was well beyond that. It was 120 hours of curriculum. I also learned recently that just reading a book can actually count for PMP credit. So clearly the 120 hours may actually be value to several who are looking for continuation credits, the PDHs and other things that might be helpful for your profession. So, So we want to. So what my role is evaluating the program, trying to figure out how we can take a look at what we've done and the amount of money that the foundation's invested, and seeing if we're going to get a return on it. Now, everybody can say, yes, I've got this. Yes, I got this. We have anecdotal evidence. But, we're trying to, quantify that. And it's going to take some time to really get after it. But we do want to make sure that we're at least measuring and meeting the goals and achieving the intended impacts that are providing the return on the investment. So what we did is part of this, and many of you on the call probably took part of this 132 question survey. We'll have more of those as we go on in the future, but we really want to get after not only demographics, but also the quantitative and qualitative measures that help us determine the professional growth and the impact of the society. So, again, looking at the strategic goals, really want to see how this program influences and impacts the society as a whole. Zach Payne actually is one that crafted that survey, and that was part of his LDP Utilization Project. And the Utilization Project, I really feel like from the start of this program, I think that was an underappreciated aspect of the program. I think I must have missed the Friday when they decided to put the Utilization Projects on there, because next thing I know, it's there and it's big and it's powerful and it's doing some great things. But that, I do not recall that being right at the start. I think there was some talk about it, but it's really powerful to see that. So let's go to the third slide. You're almost done with me. I got 2 more slides. So let's go to lessons learned, and let's talk about some sustained things from the actual students themselves. So overall, the class thought the program really hit the mark. Their strengths, of course, were in I already kind of mentioned it, the strengths and emotional intelligence assessments, understanding a little bit about yourselves. Where are you as far as how you are perceived by others and how you perceive working with others. Also, the monthly webinars, the speakers were highly regarded, and that just makes me think that most of that was done virtually. So, thinking a little bit outside the box here is, well, hey, we only have, 17, 18 folks participate in this? Why can't this get scaled up even higher? That's a project for the next class. They can figure out how to make this even bigger. Maybe it's a week-long course, maybe it's something over a period of time, but first priority are the students that are currently in the LDP class, and of course, the ones who just graduated. But so we definitely want to capture that. But those webinars and the speakers that we brought in, many of who are society members, was outstanding. And then finally, utilization projects. Like I said, it wasn't even something I think was initially part of the framework, but definitely was something that the participants really appreciated. A little bit about the demographics of the class. Just some of you may have heard this before at the LDP graduation, but I do want to point out that 70% of the class was male. The other 30% was, of course, female. And I think there's a current term that I can't use it. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't matter. It adds up to 100%. I don't have to worry about another category. So 54% of the class was between the age of 35 and 39. 46% hold at least a master's degree, and I wouldn't be surprised if that number is even higher, because these are very focus-driven professionals that I would imagine some of them probably taking a master's degree even while doing this program with their lives going on. 46% came from the private sector, another 46% came from the public sector, which was a DoD public sector. And 8% were from the public sector, but non-DoD. 61% were project managers, 31% considered themselves engineers, and 8% were in marketing and business development. And then 2 more bullets on this slide. 90% of the class considered know yourself as the most important program theme, and the class thought it was more important to understand their weaknesses over their strengths. So that's pretty cool. And the entire class felt the program delivers the knowledge and skills necessary to help them form relationships, teams, and partnerships. And I think that's really important when we talk about high-performing teams. All right, let's go to slide 9, the last slide. So as the program participants took a look at what they can do and what can improve better, I didn't talk about it, but the diversity of not only the participants, but also the speakers, where they come from. I mean, I'm in Virginia, maybe, and maybe we've put too many people from Virginia on this call. But it's not just that, it's the race, it's the beliefs, it's the background. So there's a little bit more, we need some more thought on diversity. And so it's actually, that survey was being done even before all the other social justice and everything else is going on around the country. So this team was already well ahead of that discussion. They also thought we should introduce new books. So the 2020 to 2021 books, if you don't know, are Good to Great. That one did stay from last year. But Five Dysfunctions of a Team, I'm sorry, Crucial Conversations and Quiet are your other books. And I appreciate Angie's really the lead on the book program as far as the LDP. I saw Eric on there, and he's working hard on this encouraging post and helping develop a program for posts. There's currently 3 posts that have a program. 2 of them actually are partnered together. DC Post in Northern Virginia, and then San Antonio also has a program. I could be out misspeaking if there's any more, but those are the posts that already have a program. So taking a look and see how we can encourage posts to do this at the local level. And then, a unique aspect of the program was, of course, that utilization project. I just highlight a couple on this slide, everything from a camp app to a field chapter, but everything from leadership mentoring, establishing new student field chapters were all part of the utilization projects. And I guess the one last thing I want to say is goal 4. You take a look at goal 4. It's the enrich the STEM pipeline for the nation. Okay, we're not trying to enrich the STEM pipeline with 35 or 39-year-olds. Got it. But that was the #1 most important thing to the class. So by bringing them in, by having them talk, they are doing what is one of the goals. So it's an indirect benefit of the program, is this group is getting after goal 4 because that's something that's powerful to them. So we're helping them with goal 3. They're helping the society with goal 4. And if you took a look at some of these projects, there was stuff on resiliency and sustainability. So, we're getting after some of the other ones. And of course, goal #1, I think, is why we're all here. So really a lot of great things from the class. It's exciting. It's really easy. It's going to be really easy to come up with the value. But we do want to continue to work on how to understand this program is paying dividends and benefiting society and organizations across the AEC community. I think that's it, but you want to probably hear from Craig and Yana, because they can give you a better perspective on the program than someone who was sitting in the back seat the whole time. So I'll turn it right over to Craig, and I guess I'll watch chat. And if there's anything else, we can come back to that later on. So Craig, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thanks, sir. Yeah, I won't report you to your boss for not wearing a uniform. I guess in fairness, I'm actually in the office, not at home. So I guess I don't get a pass on that one. So I guess actually the first thing I'll say up front is Colonel Hogaboom kind of stole my thunder as I sat down and prepared my notes for what I would say as far as a testimonial on the program. The words that I wrote across the top of the stage were a window into your past. So as an Army leader, a lot of people kind of have questioned me, why when, here I was as a fairly senior major, fixing to be a lieutenant colonel, been doing leadership in the Army for a decade and a half. Why does that guy apply to the leader development program at that point in his career? What's he got left? And there's a funny reason why I did, and I won't share it here, but in retrospect, I think it was actually the right thing at the right time for me in my career. It gave me an opportunity, like I said, that window into the past. I told Zach I would talk mostly about the program. I think Alana is going to talk specifically about her utilization project. So in the perspective, the best thing, the big thing that I took from it was actually the readings. I think I've shared with Caroline and maybe Mike that prior to LDP, I had never read a leadership book. It's not something that I was ever into. I'm not a huge reader. That's why I became an engineering major in college, because I figured it was the best way to avoid reading. And I'm not a very fast reader, so it's just not something I've ever done. But I really bared down early on and committed myself to reading the books. And I took a lot away from the books because it's a different style of leadership in most of the books than what I've been taught in the Army along the way. And I think that was really important to sit down and see that. The second piece to it was mentorship. And that was one of the big things I took away. So the kind of developed formal relationship that the program gave us with Charlie, for myself and Charlie, that relationship has been great for me. We wound up figuring out that we actually, in a weirdest change of fate, found out that Charlie and my father played high school soccer together. We did not know that at the time we were paired together. We just figured it out recently. But for me, it just kind of helped figuring that out towards the end of the program, and even though Charlie and I still communicate, it helped drive home the importance of how leadership is responsible through different generations. And here's somebody that's, my father's age and has a connection to my life from even existing. And here he is helping me now as I prepare to move on in the next steps in my career. And so from that perspective, the program has just been really important for me. I've actually turned it around. I've already, all of the old captains used to work for me in my last battalion. They got spam mailed from me about my expectations for them to apply to the program for the next group. But I really think that the program is excellent. I think that the actual curriculum has been great. I like the fact that they're changing the books up a little bit because I think our class had some feedback on a couple of the books, and I think so it's nice to see the books are changing out a little bit. But I really think that that's been important. And I can't say enough about how good the program was for me, and it was almost perfectly timed at a point in my career where I needed to take that time to kind of sit back and think about what have I done in the past and what can I do in the future, as I kind of was reaching an inflection point with the type of leader that I wanted to be and the type of leader that I needed to be in the organizations that I've been in. So I really just can't say enough of it from that perspective. And so unless anybody has any questions, I think I told Zach I'd be ready for 3 to 5 minutes. And I think that was 4 right there. So unless there's any good questions, I'll pass that over to Alana.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you all for your time. I'm Alana Almquist. I'm a marketing coordinator with Kaufman Engineers and a mother of 3, so I apologize in advance. The little one pops in from time to time in the background. But like Craig had mentioned, I was also part of the inaugural LDP class. I had the pleasure and honor of being selected to represent the Pacific region, and I'll share a little bit on the utilization project that I had contributed to. Let's see, a few of my LDP classmates and I noticed that there was a lack of continuity between calendar year camps. For example, there were no solid checklists, templates, carryover, or turnover built into the camps. And so each camp is unique in its own way, but the processes and coordination of each geographic region share similarities from year to year. We identified the need for camps to grow in order to remain relevant and to provide all lifelong experiences that continue to make SME STEM camps and engineering and construction camps a staple among all other camps. So we broke up into sub-camp groups, and Mike Yagua and I focused on checklists and after-action reports. The absence alone of the action after reports does not facilitate the future growth or process improvement, feedback loop, or elimination of possible fraud, waste, and abuse within camps. Although surveys are taken directly from the campers to gather the probability of campers recommending the camp to their friends, it lacks any real data to help camp directors improve for the next camp. So our overall goal was to help streamline efficiencies and eliminate deficiencies. For camps to grow and to be built upon, processes should be standardized to some level and simplified for camp directors and staff to execute the syllabus successfully. Camp staff should not have to reinvent the wheel each and every year. Creating a how-to checklist would also help eliminate the lowest common denominator. If the director was not able to complete all of the coordination or at some point become unavailable, a replacement would be able to grab the program, pick up from the checklist, and run with it with minimal assistance. This would also help alleviate the burden currently placed on our camp directors. With the visual representation of the status of the camp director could delegate tasks to their staff in order to ease the burden off them or to someone else that may be weighed down by tasks. Our team that put together this utilization project for the camps will continue to be a part of improving the SAME STEM camps for many years to come. And in order to help support and implement all of our recommendations, we stand ready to provide oversight to the National STEM COI of all our after-action reports. This would allow free-flowing information to be disseminated across all camps to share common and best practices that other camps possibly weren't considering. This also allows for staff members to have an avenue for their voice to be heard instead of their camp directors controlling what is shared with national and bottlenecking all the information and choosing what is forwarded to headquarters and what is not. This project helped me impact my professional development by realizing that leaders at the tactical level are truly bogged down by 5-meter targets. Strategic leaders anticipate changes and forecast needs and challenges in order to see their 5, 10, 15, and 20-meter targets. The old saying, well, this is the way we have always done it, is no longer relevant in today's society and in what kills innovation and allows people to become stagnant and stop growing. This project pushed me in the sense of having to step back and look at the bigger picture and determine the true root causes of issues instead of trying to apply a Band-Aid fix that would rear its ugly head each and every year. I wanted to help create a lasting process that can ebb and flow each year and continue to renew the energy of each and every camp. All in all, we're excited of implementing these processes for future camps, and members of our team look forward to becoming more involved in the respective regions with future camps and seeing the continued growth within our youth through SAME. That's my utilization project report. Did it in under 5 minutes, Craig.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I've got a huge smile on my face, and it's partly because I love these two individuals, but also just thinking about their individual journeys over the last year and, from a society perspective. I mean, you just heard all that Alana did with her utilization project and how that directly benefits our membership. And Lieutenant Colonel Bryant, you heard him talk about, reading or lack thereof before the program. And, he graduated from the first class. He read all 4 books. And then he chose to come back to the next class and actually lead a book discussion. And I know for a fact to this date, him and his mentor, Charlie, are still tight. And I think Charlie will not just be his mentor for the program, but probably, lifelong and vice versa, because I know Charlie gets a lot out of his conversations with Lieutenant Colonel Bryant as well. And also, Craig, congratulations on your promotion. So I'm gonna look through the chat here to see if we missed anything. If you guys have questions for Lieutenant Colonel Bryant or Alana, feel free to either unmute yourself and ask or type it into the chat. So Jimmy made a comment about how the LDP virtual program is the only virtual program that is compatible with his internet IT skills. If you guys know Jimmy, he's had some IT challenges. So he's giving 2 thumbs up for the virtual user experience. Eddie put in the chat just to remind everybody that our next COI call is Monday, November 16th at 3 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to go over the various leader development tools that are available that the COI has put together for posts and members. So, this call is on our flagship national program. But as you heard Patrick and others mention, it is virtual. They are recorded. So we're taking, lessons learned and materials and, hope to grow more post leader development programs such as the Northern Virginia DC and or the San Antonio post. So that's what our call on Monday, November 26th at 3 p.m. Eastern will go over. Zach is giving little digs to the Army. And it's going back and forth.
And the Army is agreeing with Zach. I'm just throwing that out there.
One person in the Army is agreeing with, but I get along with Zach real well.
So the Army and the Air Force are having a little battle there. Angie is pointing out that the virtual LDP team was cool virtually before virtual was cool, which I agree with. And let's see, Susan, who runs mentoring for the Leader Development Program, says yes, and all raising future LDPers. So kind of as you heard, Craig, Colonel Bryant, graduated from the program and now he's giving back, and how Patrick spoke about, how we're hitting our strategic plan on goal number 3, but it has ramifications on other goals. So I love all of that.
Hey, Caroline,
Yes.
we'll have to
Yes.
save a coin or something like a hat or a T-shirt to the first STEM camp member who comes into the LDP 5, 6, 7 years from now, whenever that might be.
I love it. I love it. Yes. And then, goes on to become
I just order my son
post-president.
to join next week.
There you go.
No, just kidding.
And on up. Okay. I'm not.
We have a question, Caroline, that just came in.
Okay. Yep.
What are the key characteristics we seek in future LDP candidates?
Oh, good question. I think it varies, right? We're going to go over actually, I think our next slide on how to apply and some of the requirements. But as far as characteristics, I mean, what I took away from the program is that everybody has their individual strengths and they're extremely diverse. And I believe the program, what I learned through it was how to utilize your strengths and how to, set yourself up for success and really tap into those things that are innate to you. I don't know, does anybody else who's familiar with the program or who has been through the program want to?
Caroline, this is Patrick. I think you probably should just go through the next few slides and then maybe it kind of sorts itself out, because the key, and because I want to hear what's changed, because back in the day it was the regional vice president kind of had to say. So you kind of, how did your
Right.
application resonate with that RVP?
Right.
And it starts with a post. So if you go through the process, it kind of, I think it might help people understand that their passion and their desire and their enthusiasm for LDP and for growth, and they're a white canvas going in this. I think that has to resonate in the application, but it starts at the post level, goes up to RVP. But I think there's some things that change, so I think you should probably go through that.
Okay,
Hey,
that sounds great.
Caroline, if I can, this is Zachary again. If I
Go
can
ahead.
just, Zachary, can you hear me?
Yes.
One thing I would say is, in terms of the characteristics you seek, I think the biggest thing I got out of the program is that it was just, there was such a broad spectrum of experience there. And I think that was really good. If like Craig was talking, being an Army guy and I had Air Force background, and obviously as officers in the military, you get a lot of leadership development kind of training and like a lot of real world experiences. But if you spent most of your time in the private sector, you're not quite as, you don't have those same opportunities. And so I think that that's something going in, is that, any level of experience is good. That's your baseline. That's where you start. And then through the program and the exposure, not just to the curriculum and everything else, but everyone else's experiences, I think that's where we gained a lot there. And so I think the characteristics that we'd be looking for is someone that's interested in learning and growing, and someone that's interested in giving back to the society. And if those are two areas that you can check off, then you're going to be a great candidate for the program.
Agree. Well said, Zach. Thank you. So, Katie, we will, if that didn't answer your question, we're going to go through the next few slides, and then you can let us know if you have any follow-on. Oh, I see Mike Darrow arrived. Hey, Mike. Okay, curriculum delivery methods. These are kind of the frequently asked questions we get, like the nuts and bolts of, what am I signing up for? What am I getting myself into? So the curriculum at its highest level, I think as you may have pieced together, it's broken up into 3 segments. The first one is know yourself. The second one is know your team. And the third one is know your future. So we kick off the program, we kick off the year at JETC. We're talking non-COVID times, right? Ideally, with the inaugural class, we were able to kick it off at JETC. While you're there, we bring in a professional facilitator, Ms. Jen Stillings, who is a leadership coach, and she helps us facilitate that know yourself portion. So She does that through a variety of tools, one being a Myers-Briggs type assessment, one being an emotional intelligence assessment, and really identifying your strengths and learning how you can best utilize them. So that's all, I think it's like 2 days worth of training at JETC. From there, we move into monthly virtual webinars, and we have a variety of topics such as team performance, leading global teams, which I think is particularly timely in our current environment. We've had sessions on business and financial acumen, which most people kind of, I think they rolled their eyes at first, like, what?
That was
And
my favorite session, Caroline.
was it really? Are you
Yeah, I
rolling
think
your eyes?
so. No, I really enjoyed it, but from the business side, and that was the Jacob CFO that briefed on that, and it was fascinating to me. But maybe I'm just showing my
Right.
inner nerddom.
I love it. Yeah, so we had a large business CFO, as Zach mentioned, from Jacobs the first year. And then this last year, we flipped it around and looked at it from the perspective of a small business owner and Martinez Construction with Bree, who gave a talk on the same subject. And I don't know, I feel like that one, it was one of my favorites too. I can see how some people may think, how does that affect me? Maybe if you're active duty, you're not thinking along those lines yet. However, someday, whether it's, personally or professionally, you have to. And so I learned a lot from the large business perspective and the small business perspective on that one. We also did milestone planning, time management, personal vision and goal setting, and career transition, as well as just some being able to leverage some of our members who just have unique personal experiences in leadership, and from a motivational, inspirational perspective, inviting them to join us and give talks as they're able as well. Our speakers have included, I don't know, a variety of leaders in the society. On the active duty side, we've had, let's see, Major General Holland. She gave the team performance talks. We've had Admiral Adamance give a session on mind mapping, which if you don't know what mind mapping is, it's a way to take complex ideas and kind of break them down and visualize them, and help you kind of remember and sequence things, solutions to big complex problems. I learned a ton from that, and various industry experts. So those are kind of the monthly webinars. There's one a month. There's also, along with those discussions and all the other pieces to the program, we do utilize a Google Classroom as kind of a repository to help keep us organized. You can have an online chat. We're realizing that the Google platform is not ideal, but we haven't found a better solution yet. So if you have one, let us know. There are mentors assigned to each participant. And when I say assigned, the participants can choose their mentors. But your mentor is with you through the whole year. Any discussions on the monthly topics, helping you with your utilization project, just bouncing off, things that come up in your everyday work life or personal lives. If you don't have somebody in mind, use the LDP task force and COI to help you find somebody. You can come in with a series of parameters. I want, either, a male or a female, or I want a business owner, or I want active duty, or I want, which branch of service. We can help you find somebody that would help you get you, what you're looking for. It could be in your time zone or not. It could be virtual. No limits there. The Utilization Project. Sometimes we call it a UPick Project, which stands for Utilization Project Implementation Capstone, which is a mouthful. So we just either call it UPick or the Utilization Project. But the parameters there is the only kind of requirement is that it adds value to the society. So what we're looking for there, kind of as Patrick talked about, you know, whatever you're passionate about that you want to initiate, lead, complete a project of your own, but it gives you an opportunity to exercise your leadership skills and the things that you've learned over the past few months.
Caroline, can I jump in there really quick?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, so you pick, but it also means that you pick as a member, as a LDP, or you get to pick what you want to do. And so, you know, a lot of times if you've been in a position where like, man, I wish our post or I wish the society did this, well, now you have an opportunity to influence and make that change. And it's complemented by the full, you know, Eddie and the whole crew at SAME National, as well as the volunteers as part of the LD COI and others. Like, you get resources to help you make that change. And so, you know, you get to pick what you want to do to make the society better. And like Alana said earlier, you know, those are direct results. You're seeing improvement and you're seeing the results of your actions. So it's really a fun project to do, and that you really do get to influence change.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. I think it's cool. I mean, as Zach said, the support team behind you is there to support you. I mean, you cannot fail. We will help you. We do help you. And if you want, you can, you know, go it solo, or you can bring along as many of your BFFs as you want. There are group projects if that resonates with you, or if you feel like, you know, maybe what you're passionate about might be a little too broad for you to, or, you know, too big of a chunk for you to tackle alone. You can do it in a group. Hold on, going back to the kicking it off at JETC with the facilitator. Everything's monthly and virtual until Small Business Conference time, SBC. So at Small Business Conference, in ideal conditions, again, not COVID conditions, we would bring the class, you know, back together for kind of a mid-year get together and some instruction, and then continue the virtual pathway until JETC the following year, where everybody comes back together. We have a huge celebration for our graduation, which we've yet to do because of COVID, but I look forward to the day we can do that. We had a virtual graduation this past year. Okay, time commitments. We've gone over the JETC. You can see the breakdown there. Monthly sessions and prep, estimating 20 hours. Your UPick, about 20 hours. Cost and fees and all that. Thank you, SAME Foundation. It is free to the participants. And so the SAME Foundation covers the cost for 18 participants. So that's one from every SAME region, plus a candidate from the international committee. So thank you, SAME Foundation. And then as far as attendance, you know, this is an investment in you, not only in your time and your employer or your agency's resources, but also from, you know, SAME's perspective. And so we expect you to make the best faith efforts you can to attend the virtual sessions and to be at JETC. However, you know, we do realize things come up. Everybody has a full-time job. As I said, sessions are recorded, so and they're housed in our Google Classroom platform, so you can go back and watch, you know, a session if you missed it. Okay, next slide, Eddie. I think the next slide goes, yeah, how to apply. So the eligibility, the requirement is you must be a member of SAME for at least 1 year. So for this year's application, it would be as of December 1st, 2020. We're looking for someone who has about 5 years progressive professional experience. So we're looking for somebody mid-career. I think, as you've heard from a few people here, we want you to bring the passion, the enthusiasm, somebody who's not only dedicated to our industry, but also the society, and who's looking for, some increasing, leadership potential. We want to help you develop that. And CONUS and OCONUS members may apply. So your application dates, they're open right now. So applications are open. You can go to our SAME webpage, and I think our next slide will go over that. But they're due December 7th, and they are due to your post president. So whatever your local post is, on December 7th or by December 7th, you need to turn in your application to your post president. And then for any post presidents who are on the line, you should have them in your hands December 7th. And then December 8th, start reviewing them for completeness. Any comments you want to pass along on the application to your regional vice president. And then get them over to your RVPs for review by December 11th. So that gives you a few days to get that done. And then when it is at the RVP level, the regional vice presidents, if there's multiple candidates from, say, multiple posts that they've received, the RVPs may reach out to the post presidents to ask questions. It's in their hands to kind of determine, which candidate at that particular time and the needs of the posts within their region, could deliver potentially the best value or where the needs are there. So if you're interested, I encourage you to go on and download the application. At a minimum, have a conversation with your post president about it, maybe even your RVP. And I'm sure those folks can also help you fill it out should you decide you want to apply. And then from there, candidates and potential candidates get notified of their acceptance around February-ish. And, we have occasionally, things pop up where people, had planned on this and then life changes and they can't. And so we have backups for should that situation arise, and that gives us enough time to notify the backup and get that person looped in and get everybody on the same page before JETC in May. Okay, let's see here, Eddie, next slide, which I think is our last one. And it's, yeah, so the online application, as I was saying, you would go to same.org. Upper right corner, you can see where it's been underlined here in red. You click on your member account. You would log into your member account, go down on the bottom right where it's circled, it says LDP application, and you would upload your application there. You can fill it in online or upload a PDF. But we ask for your resume and also an employee letter of recommendation, and that's for a few things. One, just to make sure your employer is aware and supportive of you in the program, and I think there's a lot that your employer can highlight there, so it's good to make them aware. But also, most of our events and most of our online portions, the webinars, are during the business hours, right? So your employer needs to be on board that, when possible, that during these working hours, you have an hour, blocked off on those days to participate. And then you and your employer, might want to have a discussion about if they would support you or if that needs to be done on your lunch hour or just exactly how you would work that out. But I encourage you to get online and apply. And again, the applications are due December 7th. All right, I know that was a lot. Does anybody have any questions while I'm looking through the chat? You guys have been chatty. I also know General Schrodell is on the line. I'm not sure if he wanted to say anything or. Ah, there he is. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Caroline, how you doing? Yeah, no, I was on the line, but I jumped onto this. So sure, if this is the right time.
Yeah.
First of all, Caroline, to you and to the whole team who have very carefully shepherded this program from scratch for the last, 4 years now, and have turned it into
Yes, there's something about there.
something that's magnificent. First, thanks again. I'm always thanking you guys. So that's the first piece. For anyone on the call who is thinking about joining the COI or about applying for the course, go for it and don't hesitate. It'll be one of the best things you've ever done. So let me just share something personal, if I can, about why, and Caroline knows my passion for this program. Even took on all the naysayers a few years ago when they said, no, don't take us out of ELA, don't take us out of ELA. And I said, well, sorry about that. As Caroline pointed out, it was too limiting. We have all the resources in the world to do what we're doing. And I got to tell you, there's nothing that compares to what we're doing. But here's the personal piece. If I were to try to sum up, so why should anybody care about their development as a leader? It's not about getting a better paying job. It's not about being the person who gets all the glory, because that's not what leadership's all about. I would summarize it this way, and I think this program does this, that I think leadership development is all about honing your ability to make a difference, to make a lasting difference. Because when it's all said and done, I think we all believe that what leaders do that's the most important is they make things better. And whether that's making something better in an individual's life, whether it's making an organization better, it doesn't matter, but you made things better and didn't ask anything for yourself in the process. And you move on to the next challenge and you move on to the next challenge. Well, being an effective leader means that you know how to do that and you learn how to do that. And I got to tell you, I'm watching the members of the first class and this class, because of the diversity that this society can bring to a class like this. I'm watching people grow in leaps and bounds. But thanks to the framework that our team put together, that's happening. And that then encourages people and arms and empowers, I think, our graduates to understand where else they need to look to continue to grow. Growing as a leader is a lifelong journey, trust me. But here's the personal piece. I think just to underscore the point about making a difference. So in my 24/7 commiserations with my creator, I have a single request that I often articulate. And it goes like this, help me make a difference. And when my time on this earth is done, yep, seeing you would be cool. But the ultimate would be for you to show me the faces of anyone in whose life I made a difference, because that's what I think I'm here for. So as you think about why do you want to be a leader and what are you as a leader, think about the difference that you've made. Think about the differences you can make. And I think that's what this program is all about. And it's really all about that because of the people who put it together and who are leading it and continue to lead it. And like you saw Angie say in her thing, because they're having fun doing it. It's genuine, it's sincere. So for those of you who are new to the program, new to the COI, from where I sit, I'm anxious to find the next Caroline Roberts. I'm anxious to find the next Angie. I'm anxious to find the people who have just flat committed for the last over 4 years to make this an unbelievable reality. So I'll get off my soapbox and say thanks one more time, Caroline and Jimmy and the whole team. And to those who are new, boy, this is the train to jump on. It really is. So God bless all of you. Thanks, Caroline.
Thank you, Joe. What I took away from the first class was just never, ever underestimate what passionate people can do. right? I mean, when you look at those projects, I mean, we had technical articles written in TME with, our military counterparts in collaboration. You heard about the camps from Alana, an app, what else? What they did is, it was kind of miraculous. So just don't ever underestimate what you can do. And let us help you do it. So with that, I think we are exactly at 1 hour. Does anybody have any last minute questions that they want to voice before we adjourn? If you think of anything, get online, look me up. I'll type my email in the chat, but feel free to send me a message, give me a call, and we'd be happy to help you answer any more questions about it. And I encourage you to apply. They're due December 7th. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Caroline. Good job.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Mhm.
Bye.
Talk
Bye,
tomorrow.
everybody. Thanks, Eddie.
Thanks, Eddie.